Hi guys, this is Vidisha Vitlani. A very good morning. Uh, this is today's session. Session is based on reading, and by the way, this is the last webinar for 2018. So wish you all a very happy New Year well in advance because I'll be seeing you right in 2019 now. And yes, with a big smile, we welcome all the amazing scores, we welcome all the right answers, we welcome all the tips and techniques, and hopefully you get your desired result. And that's what we're going to do. And by the way, we're actually back with the reading. I took a reading component last time as well, where I taught you a question type on match the headings. So today, my two question types I'm going to cover is answer the question short and true false not given. Again, both of these techniques are something that is very they're easy. I'm not saying they're very difficult, but yes, I would definitely like to tell you that it's something that is quite tricky at the same time. And so that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to see how well it's done. And meanwhile, I would want to tell you, for those who have missed the match the headings, I've actually taken 2 webinars on it already. So you can go refer it. You can go to our IELTS Tutorials online site, and you can check out for the closed webinars. You will find uh, the closed webinars on these two topics that I've taken for 2018. We've done a considerable amount of webinars, and thank you all of you for being so supportive, for being so participative, for being right there for me and listening to all my ranting all these time. And I have been thank you for the tremendous support that you guys have provided me. And this is what we actually work for. This is what we actually this is what we the service that we're trying to provide you is exactly this, that with it it helps you get amazing scores. All right, I'm going to start without much ado now, otherwise I can keep talking on this like forever. Okay, so we're going to do this reading techniques. Okay, we begin. So for those of you, I'm just giving you a quick overlayout of things. We'll quickly go through the overlayout. Once we're done with the overlayout, we're going overview of it. We'll start with the question type. So, today's session, I really want you to do one thing. I'm making you solve practically. So all these sessions I have been trying to be very practical about things. I've been trying to give you practical insight with the question types and all. So today I've taken up sample questions and a lot of sample questions, so we can do that. Also towards the end, I have few quick tips about things. And ideally, if you really are preparing for the reading component, if you really want a detailed preparation, a detailed insight to the reading component, I would suggest you can literally go through those 3 webinars I've taken, this one and the previous 2, and trust me on this, you're going to get amazing scores. You will be sorted with your reading. I don't think there's so much of detailing in there that I don't really think that after the session you will have any sort of problem with reading component. So let's do this. Okay, so the reading component is obviously a 1 hour and 40 questions in 3 sections. These 3 sections are basically 3 reading comprehensions. Coming to the IELTS general training, we have first 2 sections have 2 small passages. The last section has 1 big passage. For those who are appearing for the academic module, sorry, you guys have 3 long sections which you really have to prepare. So, there's this thing that a lot of students really ask me, that which of them is easy, which of them, like, for example, do you think the general training is easy, or do you think the academic training is easy? I'll tell you, both of them have its own perks. Like, for example, the academic reading, the 3 long passages. But, the logic that you have to use in it is very less. Like, basically, your only job in academic reading is not to understand the passage. Your only job is to look at the answers. I've been telling this always. Um, for those of the general training, the scenario is very different. For in the general training, you somewhere down the line, the passages are relatively shorter. So you have to get the logic of it, you have to get the trip and technique of it. Like, even the true false not given, and especially this question type, it's again a slightly difficult coming to the general module in which ways. So I think, and plus, if general module is something that is easily done, there's a band difference. Obviously, to get a 7, you need to get a 34. So Imagine the level of accuracy. So I think both of them are easy. Study hard. Nothing so difficult about it. Okay, there are a few question types. Obviously, everybody by now has cleared the question types, but let's just glance through them. The first is summary completion, then comes match the heading, then comes MCQs, then comes true false not given. Then we have yes, no, not given, match the information, table completion, and labeling the diagrams. So basically, obviously, it's a receptive skill. So all of this is really simple. You don't have to. Okay, by the way, I would just want to tell you one thing that if at all there is anything, please mention in the question answer box. I'm sorry. Yes, it was not mute. I actually thought it's more in the question answer box. So, by the way, I would just want to tell you one thing that if you guys have any queries, drop it in the question answer box and not in the chat box, because naturally the question answer box is something that is not something that I'm very comfortable with. Obviously, the question answer box is going to answer all the queries relating to IELTS, uh, but your queries, other queries, are going to be answered in your chat boxes. Okay. So coming back to the PPT, coming back to question types. Let's see this. Right. Everybody can see the PPT? Right. Okay. So basically there are three passages, and this is how I've divided the section timing wise for the three sessions. See, basically what I generally prefer is don't leave last 4 minutes for transferring the answers. Rather, I would say that please what you do is you transfer the answers at the end of each section. So I've explained transferring the answers towards the end of the slide. So let me take you through the presentation first, and then we can go back to this. Right. Okay, now what are the basic strategies? There are a few basic strategies which have been, they're global, they're very universal. So we'll just go this. Read the question properly. Now, this is an important strategy for all the four components. Now, understand this one thing. If you're not reading the question, if you don't understand the question, you're never going to be able to answer. You can only answer correctly if you know what the question is, right? If you don't know the question, if you're not aware of what the question is, you're never going to be able to answer. Also, you're supposed to answer the question type. Like, for example, my question type is fill in the blanks not given, or my question type is true false not given, or it's match the column, it's MCQs. Whatever it is, it's something that you really have to go through this. Read the glossary of the passage. The glossary is basically the summary of the passage. Don't spend too long on one question. This is a very, very important tip. This is a very, very important technique. The reason being this is very important is that we have time constraints. Naturally, everybody knows that in IELTS, you simply cannot take as much as time you want. We have our specific time constraints, and it's because of that. Don't spend too long on one passage. It's not right. Okay, now see, this technique is very useful. If you don't know the answer, guess the answer. Now this applies for both the receptive skills, reading and listening. Now why guess the answers? Just understand this. When you're guessing the answers, you don't have any negative point. Like, let's say I'm writing, the answer is I missed an MCQ, and let's say I go for the answer B. Now, when I'm writing the answer B, there is nothing. It's not penalized any which ways. So, might as well by fluke my answer is correct. So, rather than leaving that space empty, I would say that just guess the answer. That really works, but don't apply it everywhere. So, I have had students, they were really lazy to do this. And I tell you an incident. And what happened is there were four MCQs, and they didn't want to solve it no matter what. And all four of them wrote A. And they were, any which ways, they were lacking time. So luckily they got two correct. But so don't follow this. Don't make it a habit to keep guessing the answers and writing it on fluke. It doesn't always work. Right. Make sure you copy all the words correctly. Now see, this is very important for the reading. For reading, you have to pick up the word. You don't need to modify the word. So always have a habit, I always tell them, cut, copy, paste. Don't modify the word. Don't use your own spellings. Don't use your own, logic behind the words. Rather, please make sure that you cut, copy, pasting the words. Okay. Don't forget the answer may be given in a diagram or illustration. So there's this tricky thing. Sometimes, you just go through the passage that is given to you. You don't really bother about there is a small box, or there is a small meaning to the word, or there is an asterisk given and there's some information given below. So many times we miss out on some things like this. So when you're missing out on something like this, don't really don't miss out. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Don't even the my especially this applies for general reading. Don't miss out on any of the minor details given, because once you miss out on the minor details, that's when you're going to mess up, and I don't really want you to mess up with anything. So please, please, please ensure this. Okay. I hope everybody is able to see the slide. I hope everybody is able to hear and understand. If there is any query, just put it in the question answer box. I'll be happy to help you. Right. Okay, now let's start with one question type that I really want to do. Okay, so this for academic and general both I would want to tell you. Many times we come across questions, many times we come across things that you don't really understand. So the short answer question type is something that is much more present in the first two sections compare in the general training module, and in the academic module also it's there. So how do you answer this particular question? The first thing you do is read the question, or any question, be it reading, be it listening, be it writing. Please, 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 the first thing is you read the question, and especially in writing I always tell you guys, read the question thrice. It's really important. Okay, now while read the question, then underline the keyword. Now what is a keyword? A keyword is any word. Okay, a keyword is any word that you can spot. So this can be a noun, this can be a pronoun, this can be a date, a day, or there's a difference here for academic and general. I'll give you one very important trick. For academic students, your main job, okay, is locating the answers. So if you're underlining the keyword, that is a proper noun, that is, rather a pronoun, or rather a day or date, it's easier for you to find. For general training, your keywords are very, very small words. Like most of them must do this. So, your keyword is most, because you have to find out the majority. So the keywords are important. Paraphrase the question. Now, what I mean by paraphrasing the question, obviously, see, there are times that you might find answers by locating the keywords. There are times that you won't. So my point here is that it's very important for you to find synonyms to it. For example, let's say the question says investigate, and my paragraph says to find out. That means one and the same thing. So you can't just keep looking for the word investigate, and then you have to be open towards other prospects and other aspects also. So please, please paraphrase the question. And what I mean by paraphrasing the question is understanding the question in your own words, also finding synonyms to this. Right. Skim and match the keyword. Once you're done with the question, so first things first, step 1, 2, 3, focus on the question. Step 4 and 5, what you're going to do is you're going to skim. Okay. Skim in the sense, read it at a glance and not trying to understand the whole thing. Figure out the matching keyword. Once you find the keyword, read only that particular line. With reading, the best thing with RTS is you don't have to really read the whole paragraph. It's not important to read the whole paragraph. Okay, so just read the relevant line. And the last thing that you're going to do is you're going to match ideas to ideas. This is very, very important. Now, what do I mean by matching ideas to ideas? What I mean by matching ideas to ideas is don't look for the exact words. So that's why this paraphrasing step 3 is very important, because you're not supposed to find the relevant words, you're supposed to find the relevant context of the passage. Okay, let's put these techniques into use now. Let's solve a passage. Okay, now the first things, we have 5 short answer questions. One more technique in IELTS is answers are going to be in sequence. So 4, 5, 4 is going to be, 5 is going to be after 4. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are all going to be in sequence. They're not going to be haywire. So let's go this. Now, what has been found in some fancy food products? My keyword here is what has been found. So found and fancy food products. So now let's see, I have a question paper in hand. So I'll be underlining fancy food products and found. So I'm going to figure out what is, like what has been found. So, there would be a line which says that fancy food product contains, or this is a present in the fancy foods, or let's say this has been found out. Okay, where can you find the batch number of jars? So here my keyword is batch number, and my question is where. So I'm supposed to locate the place. So now see, understand, which for thing, where for place, when for time, who for person. Remember this. Okay, so where for and how much for amount. Okay, where can you find the batch number on the jar? So I'm supposed to locate a place where I can find the batch number on the jars. Let's see the third one. How much will you receive for an opened jar of contaminated chicken curry? How much means I'm supposed to figure out the amount, right? Next, receive. How much will I get? How much will I procure? Okay. Open jar contaminated chicken curry. Contaminated chicken curry and open jar are the keywords. So let's do first three questions first. What has been found in some fancy food products? What is, again, you have to figure out a noun. So basically what has been found is what this answer is going to be, a noun. Where can you find the batch number on the jars and how much will you receive? Okay, check this. Okay, fancy food wishes to inform the public that pieces of metal have been found in some jars of chicken curry. Going back, let's read the first question. What has been found? Okay, fancy food wishes to inform the public that pieces of metal have been found. Okay, so somewhere on the line, my answer is pieces of metal, right? Because that has been found. Plus, now see, no more than 3 words and or a number. I am permitted to write 3 words. So here, my answer is going to be pieces of metal. Make sure your spelling of pieces is right. Make sure metal is not with an S. So what you generally do is you take this particular word and you cut, copy, paste it in your answer sheet. Okay. My second, okay. The batches of jars involve the numbers from J6617 to J6624. The batch number is printed on the bottom of each jar. Okay, now let's read the second question. Let's go back to the second question. Where can you find the batch number of the jar? So my keyword was batch number. Where is it? So my answer can be the bottom of each jar. So what is going to be on the bottom? Again, I am permitted to write 3 words. I'm going to choose bottom of each jar. Okay, now what's my third question? How much will you receive for an open jar of contaminated chicken curry? So here, my eyes should actually try figuring out a particular amount. Wherever some sort of money is given, that's going to be my answer. Okay, now I can see $10 and $5, so I'm going to return this. Okay, fancy foods will pay $10 for each jar returned unopened and $5 for each jar already open. I'm supposed to find out the information for already opened. So this is going to be $5. So my answer to this question is $5. I'm supposed to write a number, so I can write 5 in the number format. Whenever a number is asked, whenever the option says 1 word and or a number, so if the number is asked, please write it in the number format. This is what is something also which is very, very important. Okay, now I'll tell you a common mistake that students do here. Out of 10, this is the very point blank easy answer which is given to you. So technically this is the first section. So naturally it's going to be very, very simple. So see, they don't give, most of the times IELTS give away answers. So like these are giveaway answers for you, right? But sometimes in a hurry, what we end up doing is we write $10. Busy finding an amount, we don't, we forget to read the second half of the sentence. But actually my second half of the sentence is considered, having my answer. So you have to ensure that, you read the whole sentence. You don't read partially. So please make sure what you're doing. Okay, now I'm done with 3 questions without really reading the whole line, the whole paragraph. Okay, let's do this if we can figure out the remaining 2 questions also. If you have eaten chicken curry from a jar with one of the batch number listed, whom should you contact? Whom is again, I have to figure out a person. Okay, again, let's read the question. Who means a person. Which person should be contacted if you've eaten chicken curry from a jar with batch number listed? The condition is batch number listed. Okay, now check. Let's read. I have finished my second question right here at this point of time. Third question. So my fourth question obviously is going to be in the next paragraph. Okay, now check this. No payment will be made for empty jars which do not need to be returned. However, the retailing manager will be interested to hear from people who have consumed chicken curry from any of the listed batch numbers. So here, who is the person who is interested, who can be contacted? The answer is retail manager, because I'm looking for a person. The only person which is mentioned in this particular paragraph is this particular section is the retailing manager. So please be very careful. Let's go to the last question. What is the maximum reward for fancy food? What is the maximum reward fancy food is offering for information about who contaminated their product? Okay, maximum reward again is going to be some sort of figure. What is the maximum reward fancy food is offering for information about who contaminated the product? So again, they're looking for some sort of figure which I'm supposed to give them, right? So let's try this. Any which ways, I don't need to read anything beyond this because there's my answer. This is a reward. Okay, now let's see this. Fancy Foods will pay a reward of $10,000 to $50,000 for information leading to conviction. So basically, for this information, how much are they paying? 10,000 to 50,000. Now, again, what we do while in a hurry, or sometimes we're very confused and nervous, we end up writing 10,000, or we end up writing 50,000, or we end up writing both. Here, my simple question is, what is my keyword here? I told you in the general training, your keywords are very small words. So, what is the maximum reward? So, I'm supposed to find the highest reward one can get. And the max reward one can get is 10,000 to 15,000. So, naturally, the max reward I can get is $50,000. So, again, a number is accepted. They're okay with writing a number. So, what I would want you to do is write $50,000 in your answer booklet. Okay, do we get this? Okay, I hope this question type is very, very clear. Again, let's do the next question type that everybody gets it tricky. I mean, I don't know, I've explained this umpteen number of times. There's one webinar that I've explained this in much more detail, but today we'll be doing 2 passages in practically. So I think that would be much, much, much better. Let's do this. Let's try doing this. Firstly, there are 3 elements: true, false, not given. Now, true is when you write the option true, your statement has to be 100% correct. When you write the option true, your statement has to be 100% correct. When you write the answer false, that means it is partially correct. When you write the answer not given, that means there is not enough information. There is some sort of information that is really missed out. So that's not given, right? Now, if not given is in a lot of circumstances, a very common aspect of not given is like half the question is published and half the answer is given, half the answer is not given. So that becomes not given because that's partial information, that's not absolutely correct information. So we're not going to do that. Okay. Yes, you want to see the answers one more time? Okay. Here's a list of the answers. We figured out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is there any doubt that you have with that? And if there's anything, write it in the question answer box. The panel is open, so I can handle it immediately. It's not distracting. Uh, okay, I'll move forward. So true, false, not given. Again, let's get back. True is 100% true. False is absolute opposite information. Not given is something that is, you know, something that is partially given. Okay, we're doing a sample now. I want you to figure this out. So there are 3 questions and we're doing a sample out here. So let's see this. Okay, now what I want you to do, again, the technique remains the same. The technique here remains the same, okay? Let's read the first question. David Gura is trying to buy a book before it gets broken up. The next question is, David Gura works for the University of Notre Dame. And the third is, only a small number of pages remain in the book of hours. Okay, I have 3 questions. First question says that David Gura is trying to buy a book before it gets broken up. The second question says David Gura works for the University of Notre Dame. The third question says only a small number of pages remain in the book of hours. Okay, now here, let's say in true, false, not given, especially in the general reading, don't go for the keywords. What I generally suggest is read it, because the paragraph is anyway very small, so skimming it and scamming is not going to make any difference. For those giving the academic module, pick up common proper nouns, like for example David Cura and book, buy a book. So such words are your keywords. Pick up those words, try to figure out the line, read that line. Rather, sometimes I also tell them read one line above and read one line below, and then try to match the information. That's going to be much more accurate. Okay, now last month at an auction house in Germany, a single page from a medieval manuscript went up for sale. Among those who were trying to buy it was David Gura. Okay, now David Gura is trying to buy a book. My question is, David Gura is trying to buy a book. Let's read this line. A single page from medieval manuscript went up for sale. Among those who were trying to buy it was David Gura. So David Gura was not trying to buy a book. David Gura was trying to buy a single page. My answer here is exactly opposite. This information is exactly opposite, so the answer is false. Do you realize that how come it's false? It's false because my question says that David Cura is trying to buy a book, whereas my paragraph implies rather that a single page had gone up for sale and David Cura was trying to buy it. So he was not trying to buy a book, he was trying to buy a single page. So my opposite information can be classified as false. Right. Let's go for the next one. David Gura works for the University of Notre Dame. Okay, now let's read about David Gura. Among those who were trying to buy it was David Gura, the curator. Curator means a person who's in charge of a museum. Curator of ancient and medieval manuscripts at the University of Notre Dame. So he was basically working as a curator at the University of Notre Dame, and that's what my question is trying to tell me. So this information is exactly matching. This is absolutely matching information, so the answer is true. David Gura works for the University of Notre Dame, so my answer is true because the information is exactly matching. Okay, so now let's read the third question. Only a small number of pages remain in the book of hours. Now, only a small number of pages remain in the book of hours. Let's say this is a very interesting concept. Most of you have gauged it that since the first one is false, the second one is true, the third one is going to be not given, but let's understand the logic behind it. Okay, it was another chance for him to save a part of the 15th century book of hours. Okay, so which only a few years earlier had been broken up. He is now in a race to find the remaining pages of this manuscript before they disappear. So basically, this says that only a few pages have been remaining, others have been broken up, and he's trying to find. My question says that only a small number of pages remain in the book of Hours. Now, see, when you're talking about something like this, understand that when I'm saying that only a small number of pages remain, that means I have certain kind of information about how many pages were there. Now, all this information was nowhere given. Okay. this particular information is not specifically mentioned. So, when you're actually solving the not given, don't try to really guess the answers. Okay, you're not supposed to guess the answers here. You're not given points to guess the answers here. So, here, don't try to assume anything. What I'm trying to tell you is it's always point blank. So if it's true, it's 100% true. If it's false, it's 100% false. You are not supposed to use your own assumptions to this. So here, I need to use my own assumptions. Okay, there is a possibility that only a small number of pages are remaining, and that's why the person is trying to find it. But that is not what you're supposed to do. Like, for example, small number of pages are remaining, but this number of pages point specific answer is not mentioned. That is why my answer is not given. Okay, moving on. We'll do one more sample, I think. So false because the book had broken up a few years ago, but any which ways that indicated that it's a single page. True that the fact is correct, obviously not given. So see, we do not know how many pages are left. So it might be true, it might be false. False. We need some other information, incomplete information actually. So it's going to be not given. Okay, now let's do a sample 2. This is going to be slightly longer. So I took one small one so that you understand this. We took a big one. So again, we'll go through this technique again. We read the questions, we underline the keywords, we paraphrase the question, and then we go to the passage. So now let's first focus on the question. Okay, you do not arrive more than half an hour before your allocated starting time. You do not arrive, you should not arrive rather, sorry. That means you're instructed not to arrive more than half an hour before your allocated starting time. Okay, now you know what? A lot of students have this habit. They read the whole questions and then they go to the passage and then they solve. I have this habit. What I personally do is I read all the questions like how you guys do. I solve one by one. I don't take the whole thing together. So while solving one by one, what is a good advantage of solving this is you're more focused and it's quick rather than doing everything, finding everything at one go is not going to be possible. So this is quick also, you're more focused also, it's more easy actually, right? You should not arrive more than half an hour before your allocated starting time. Your rider identity card will be sent to you before the event. Some roads may have normal traffic flow on them and helmets are compulsory for all participants. Okay, let's see the questions one by one. You should not arrive more than half an hour before your allocated starting time. So here your keyword is half an hour, more than half an hour before, and allocated starting time. Now let's say my start time is here. Okay. Now see, your start time is indicated by the color of your body number in this pack. It is also printed on the address label of the envelope. Please arrive no earlier than 30 minutes before that time. Check this, read this very, very carefully. Please arrive no more than 30 minutes before that time. That means you're not supposed to arrive before 30 minutes. Isn't that exactly what my question is trying to tell me? Half an hour and 30 minutes are obviously synonyms. Allocated starting time is the given starting times. And please do not arrive. Please no earlier than is not arriving. So this answer is true. This answer is 100% matching information is true. Again, let's go to the second answer question. Your rider identity card will be sent to you before the event. Your rider identity card is your keyword and will be sent to you before the event. Okay, let's read this. Well, if my rider identity card is given here, is any information about the rider identity card given here? We allocate an equal number of cyclists for each start time. Please keep the time you've been given so we can keep to our schedule and avoid delaying and prevent bunching. And information point toilets and refreshment stands will be open very early. I don't see anything related to rider identity card as of now. Let's go to the third question. So if I'm not seeing anything as of now, I'm going to put a not given here. Okay. Now let's see the third question. Some roads may have normal traffic flow on them. Some roads may have normal traffic flow. So I'm supposed to expect a normal traffic flow. So let's say I'm not actually finding any information about rider identity card. Now for now I've given it or not given. Maybe I read the passage ahead and I might find it relevant. Okay. Let's go to this. Some roads may have a normal traffic flow on them. Uh, your keyword is traffic, right? Okay. Now we put together as many facilities. Okay. We put together as many facilities as possible to ensure you have a trouble-free day. But we also rely on you to ride safely with due consideration for other cyclists and road users. Although many roads are close to oncoming traffic, this is not always the case, and you should be aware of the possibility that there could be vehicles coming from the opposite direction. Okay, now let's read this particular line again. Although many roads are close to oncoming traffic, so had I used the skimming technique, I would have picked up the keyword traffic, located the word traffic right here in the second paragraph, avoided reading the entire second bullet point, third bullet point, and beginning of this, just read one line from your but to opposite direction and figure out the answer. So that is using the keyword technique, using the sequencing technique, and getting my answers correct. Okay, but we also rely on you to ride safely with due consideration for other cyclists. Although roads are close to oncoming traffic, this is not always the case. So there may be traffic, and you should be aware that the possibility there could be vehicles, that there possibly vehicles coming in the opposite direction. Let's read the question again. Okay, some roads may have normal traffic. So may and could mean the same thing. These two models are trying to tell me the same thing. This line and this question is meaning same thing. So I'm going to put a true on this. I'm going to put a true. Okay, now one thing, be very careful. Whenever there's true, false, not given, right? True, false, not given. Whenever there is yes, no, not given, put yes, no, not given. Don't really mix up these two things because it's very, very important. A lot of students have this habit of mixing it up and eventually getting everything wrong. Like whenever there's yes, no, not given, your answer has to be yes, no, not given. Whenever there's true, false, not given, the answer got to be true, false, not given. So please, please, please don't lose out marks in this. Okay, let's read the fourth question. Helmets are compulsory for all the participants. Now let's see, anything relating to helmets is given. Yes, helmets is given. Wear a helmet here. So I'm going to avoid reading, follow the paragraph. It says follow the instruction because my question says helmets are something that is compulsory. Now see, every year we're delighted to see more riders wearing protective helmets, but we would like to see every cyclist on the ride wearing one. More than half of the reported injuries in cycling are due to head, and helmets give the best protection. Now see, there is a confusion between false and not given here. I'll clarify the confusion. Every year we're delighted to see more riders wearing protective helmets. But we would like to see every cyclist on the ride wearing one. We would like to see. That means they would prefer to see. I would like you to do this. What does this mean? This means that I want you to do this. That means I would be happy if you do this. But does it mean that I mandatorily want you to do this, or I have to, if there is a rule about it, I want you to, go for certain things, but then you may or may not be able to do it, right? So here, let's go to the question. My question says helmets are compulsory for all the participants. And here they say that we would like to see every cyclist wearing one. This is opposite information. It's not compulsory, it's optional. They would prefer to see. So whenever they would prefer to see, it naturally means that they're not very comfortable. So that's why the answer is not given. So most of the that's why the answer is false. The answer to this question is false and not given. So now a lot of students, they come up to me and they tell me that no, this is not given because nowhere about a rule is mentioned here. Nowhere about compulsory is mentioned here. The word compulsory is nowhere visible. So that's why I always tell you, don't match words to words. Match ideas to ideas. My question is trying to ask me whether the helmet is compulsory. Obviously, there's nowhere listed in this paragraph, but there's this one line that says that, but we would like to see every cyclist wearing one. That means they prefer to see every cyclist wearing one. and not that they're actually forcing anybody to wear one rather. So this answer is not given. This answer is false because technically this is opposite information, not that this piece of information is missing, right? So had this line not been there, and it would be just every year we're delighted to see more riders wearing one, more than half of the report. Let's say I have omitted this but to one, then my answer is not given. But right now, because there is this word we would like to see, this is going to be false. If there would not be this clause from but to one, I would have done it, I would have put it up as a not given, then it would have been correct. Okay, I hope your concept of true false not given is correct. Okay, any queries that you guys have, start posting in the question answer box at the end of this session. I would want to tell you a few things. Few things are very, very important. So at the end of this session, please, I'll be answering your queries if you have any for this webinar, for anything in general relating to IELTS. Okay, now a very, very important point that most of us really are not good at is transferring the answers. Okay, now what about transferring the answers is important? Transferring the answers is very, very important. One reason transferring the answer is important, that no matter if you know the right answer, but you have transferred the wrong answer, it's not going to work, right? Like examiners don't check your question paper. Examiners don't know what you've written. All they see is the answer sheet. First thing, check for capital letters. All the proper nouns have to be in capital letters, compulsory. For example, there is a name of a person, a name of a place, it's capital letters. Rather, I would say please cut, copy, paste. It really works. The logic of cut, copy, pasting is working here. Okay. Also, a lot of students ask me that is it compulsory to write in block letters? I'll tell you honestly, it's not compulsory, but I generally prefer if students write it in block letter. All caps is perfect. I like it because sometimes you mess up with your own handwriting, and since it's a paper-based test, accepting it or not, handwriting does play a certain role. At least it should be clear for the examiner to understand and gauge what you're trying to tell me, right? Matching the answer to the question number. Now, see what happens is sometimes towards the end, especially with MCQs and headings, you jumble up. When you jumble up, the entire sequence goes wrong, and without you realizing it, you missed out on at least 5-6 questions, which is not good. So what I do is, let's have finished 7 questions for general training. I transfer the 7 questions immediately. I don't wait to the end of 40 questions. I'll tell you why. Because, firstly, when you're running short of time, you're prone to make more errors while transferring. So, I never wait till the end. I'll finish 7, I'll transfer 7. So at least that bit I'm sorted. So at least when I'm in the last section, I want to leisurely solve it. I have the time. At least I'm sorted with a first set of questions that it's done properly. Same thing with the academic students. What I really do is I read, or like I'm done with section 1. Once I'm done with section 1, I transfer the answers to section 1. So at least by the time in section 3, I'm always rushing through it. So I have the time. At least my 28 answers are transferred nicely. They're arranged nicely. Most of the times in the third section, if students lack time, I tell them directly write on the answer sheet. Please, otherwise, do not directly write on the answer sheet. It's not correct. Okay, now check with the word limit. 1 word and or a number, 2 words and or a number, 3 words and or a number. Please be very careful. Okay, check with the prepositions. Okay, now see this example. Where do most of the employees collect the wages? So it's going to be a answer is a place. Now see, generally employees pick up their checks in the department. If not, they may be picked up at the business office. Now, what most of the students do is they write in their department. But here the preposition is not needed. Why is it not needed? The preposition is not needed because only the place is asked. Because the question is where. So now what is this place? This place is just their department, right? I don't need to mention the preposition. So my answer is their department. It is not in their department. The question where asks for a particular place, and the place does not need a preposition here because the place is their department. I hope this is very clear. Also, please pay very, very close attention to 1 word and or a number, 2 words and or a number. Most of the students, you won't believe, it's every time I say this, every time I check a paper, and at least there are 2 to 3 wrong answers in transferring the answers. So they're going to cost you 1 band or 2 band according to the range. So please be very careful with this. Check for the spellings. In reading, you won't have a problem with the spellings because you technically cut copy pasting. So it's going to be really, really simple. But however, in listening, please do check for the spellings, but pay very close attention to them. So if you don't know, there are certain words, which are very common. And for example, transferring comes with a double R. So employers come with a double E, business comes with one S and then two S. And there's certain words which are very confusing. Technically, we all go wrong with spellings. We've done this in Striggle, but since it's a paper-based test, we're attempting a paper-based test after a really long time. Some of you, might, those who are not students, those are writing emails and drafting. We used to autocorrect. So yeah, technology has kind of paralyzed us, and let's not let technology paralyze us. Okay. So please be very careful. Okay, now how do you overcome time constraint? So a lot of people, most of you all should be able to do. Firstly, improve your reading speed. How do you improve your reading speed? I give this tip every time in the webinar I take, and it is a magic potion. Trust me, it is a magic potion to reading. The first thing you do is you pick up any article that you're not interested in. Pick up any book that you're not interested in. Give 5 minutes to reading a book. Let's say you're doing one page, just 5 minutes a day. Okay, you're doing one page a day. Next day also you did one page a day. And this should not interest you. This should not be something that you're fascinated with. Okay. Then what you do is on the third day, try reading 1.5. Fourth day, try reading 1.5. Fifth day, in 6 minutes, try reading 2. So basically, you're improving the speed of reading. You're practicing the speed of quick reading. Okay. First thing, read the questions first. Don't go for the text first. Okay. So there are two things. Some of them go for the text first. Some of them go to the questions first. So I prefer questions first. Personally, I would like if you read the questions first. Then you underline the keywords, you skim and scan, and obviously go for the first paragraph, first sentences of the paragraphs. They'll tell you what the paragraph is about. So when you have insight to the paragraph, it's really, really easy. Now there are a few quick tips that I really want to give you. First thing, you're supposed to look for the noun and numbers. Now, why are you supposed to look for the noun and numbers? You're supposed to look for the noun and numbers because they're keywords, and keywords will help you solve them. Understand the question. So understand the question and follow the instruction. Understand the question type. That's what I'm meaning. Okay, pay attention to the timing, obviously. There'll be a watch, right? So in these examination centers in my city, they have a big clock right in front of your exam screen. So don't get too intimidated by it. A lot of students get nervous and seeing the clock. So don't try to do that. Don't try and read each and every word. Obviously, that's why we're doing about the keywords. Don't worry about the subject. Okay, whatever the subject is shouldn't affect you. So that's why I always tell, practice any subject that you hate. Whenever you're doing reading, don't go for something that really interests you. Go for something that irritates, the hell out of you. Right. Okay, don't worry about the subject. Don't change the form of words. So you're just supposed to cut, copy, paste. Don't modify any word. Don't worry if you're not understanding the word. You're not supposed to understand the passage. That is not your job. Your job is only locating the answers. Try to, figure out the overall meaning of the sentence. Check your spellings. Be careful to use singular plural correctly. So now, again, what you're supposed to do right now is singular plural. You can cut, copy, paste. Focus precisely on what you're asked to do in completion question. So basically, understand what the question, what are you supposed to answer. Pay attention to the word limit. Now, whatever the word limit is, one word and or a number, two words and or a number. Attempt all the questions. You're supposed to attempt every question that is asked and proofread the answers. So, generally, if you do one set at a time, so that's going to be proofreading is going to be possible. Right. I'm open to taking question answers from this webinar or any other problems that you have. I mean, you can just put it in the question answer drop box. I will be answering all your queries now. So I hope you actually have gained insights to this. I hope you've understood what I'm trying to ask you. Again, I'm telling you that if you really are nervous about the reading component, there are 3 webinars only in the reading component that I've taken. One match, especially all these 3 are practical. In fact, there are 4. There's one on receptive skills also. That includes reading and listening both, but that is an overview. It's not much in detail. But there are 3 webinars that I've taken. One is about match the headings and true, false, not given. Academic students, please go through this very nicely. But general students, you can actually go through this because your third section is something similar to that passage that I've taken. Again, I've taken one more webinar last Saturday, again on matching the headings and the overall time strategies and overall tips and techniques for match the headings specifically. So you can go through something like that. Today I've taken a session on short answer type questions and true false not given. I've completed all the major question types which have always been a problem for you guys. So, any day you're preparing for the reading component and you go through these three sessions, I'm very sure they're going to be very, very helpful. If at all you don't know where that is, let me tell you that's there, the IELTS tutorials, IELTS tutorials online. And you can go to free webinars where you get yourself registered. For those, you can check out the closed webinars tab. Once you go in the closed webinars tab, there is a list of webinars. Yeah, once you actually view the webinars, please put a like or comment, or if you don't understand anything, put a like or comment. I would be very, very happy to help you. And it really works as such. So there are other things also. We've taken writing, we've taken speaking. Okay. And yes. Thanks. You're welcome, Swati. Actually, I am good that it was very helpful to you, and I'm glad you gained a lot of insight to this. Any further queries, you can contact us as our tutorials. Again, let me just give you a few tips. Just let me summarize what I did today for you. The first thing you're supposed to do in the reading component is read the questions. You pay attention to the question types, you're paying attention to the time. So, in reading components, there are only two things that are majorly important. Like for listening, it's our accent. The moment you understand the accent, your listening component is sorted. There is nothing else except for the listening component once the accent is done. So the same thing for reading is I suggest, it's your speed and it's your accuracy. Once you know your speed, once you know your accuracy, there's nothing that can stop you from getting good marks. So the speed of reading increases with those boring, practicing reading boring passages. And personally, trust me, I have tried and tested this and it worked for me. So I always used to pick up text that really bored me. I used to try cutting down on timing. I used to try not understanding it and then answering the questions just by locating the keywords. And trust me, it worked the best. It really, really worked for me. And you know what? In fact, try it right from today itself. Give 5 minutes to reading per day and then solve your reading comprehension. Your scores will naturally improve by 1.5 band. And this is what even my students have come and told me that they have secured good bands. It's because of this particular technique, right? Also go through few question types that are really a pain. Like for example, true false not given is quite tricky. Yes, no, not given is tricky, and matching the headings. These three question types are they are a menace, for most of the students. I personally, they're very, I think headings are simple according to me. But yes, any which ways, practice the third section really, really well because, you're very used to small, small passages. So, when it comes to a longer one, you'll fail to do it. So I don't want that happening. Yes, there's a query. Is there any forum where we could get a help on ECA? I'm sorry, what's ECA? I mean, can you help me with what's ECA? Yeah, you can get a lot of practice tests on IELTS tutorials, and there you have mock tests. You can also sign up for our mock tests. They'll be evaluated by expert trainers, and we'll be helping you out with the concepts, and we'll be helping. So once you give the test, you're actually understanding where you stand, so you can go for the IELTS tutorials online. Yes. Educational credentials assessment immigration. I think on the IELTS tutorials will be that online portal was quite nice. So a lot of students have this. I always keep on promoting the IELTS online tutorials, and a lot of students tell me that why are you such a big fan of it? I'll tell you why. There are umpteen number of videos on YouTube. Okay, I personally love few trainers. They're amazing. They're really good and they're very motivating. But there are some things that even the first drop box that you see in the first window that you're seeing, and it's irrelevant. Like I come across a reading passage from a good authorized source, Cambridge. A trainer has explained the entire reading passage. No doubt he explained it well, but when coming to the question and answers, there were three answers which were wrong on there. I don't really appreciate that. So, when you're referring something, please refer authorized sources. There are certain trainers who have actually published videos which are quite old, just check the publication time. So there are videos relating to 10 years old, they're 15 years old. However, they've done an amazing job back then. But sorry, we have updated a little bit on the examination pattern. I mean, I personally feel the examination back then was really simple, and now, their scoring is very tricky because of the demand. So you have to be a little bit more focused. So that's why I always tell you, when we go for our online tutorial webinars video or the video tutorials that we have, they're more point specific, they're directive, they're not they're very brief and concise, and it's like a 1 hour lecture that you are sending from your home. Also, when you're studying through these webinars, please keep a pen and paper in hand, because I don't want you to watch it like a movie. I want you to watch it like you're actually studying and get something out of it. So I think that will be really, really helpful to you. All right, I am now. I think I'm signing off. Again, a very happy New Year to you guys. And the last webinar for 2018 is finally done. I hope I've been able to give you good insights to the reading component, and I hope to see you very, very soon in 2019, next Saturday. Again, we'll be on air. We'll be coming up with a different topic. Mostly it's grammar next Saturday. So those of you all have a lot of problem with grammar, grammatical range and accuracy can come down. Also, at the same time, there's one taken on subject verb agreement. Do refer that and come down. You will have a little bit of base of what's going to be done. Right. Okay. Again, a very happy new year in advance. Enjoy and take care. Best of luck, guys.